just look at these two. They are adorable, aren't they, in very different ways. We have, of course, the Hyundai Inster and the Renault 5, and this is the first time we've managed to get them both together. You've been asking for this ever since I first drove these two back in the autumn of last year, and as always, your wish is my command. So let's get started. But before we do, please do give the subscribe button some love. It's what the algorithm would want. Now, it wasn't that long ago that we moaned all the time about the lack of smaller, more affordable electric cars, but not anymore. And these are definitely two of my favourites of the last 12 months. Yes, I wish both of them was a bit more affordable, but I always want more. And both of these do actually kick off at a relatively modest price. The Renault 5, well, that starts at £22,995. The Inster, £23,505. Unsurprisingly, you are going to have to pay a little bit extra to get the stuff that you really want on these cars. With the Inster, that will be the Jenga-like seating, which gives you stacks of adaptability. You'll need the O2, the top of the range version, and that will set you back £26,750. On the R5, if you want this gorgeous light-up battery monitor, which is so cool, again, that's only available on the top two specs out of the three on offer, and that will set you back £26,995. So look, in terms of price, there's really not a lot in it, is there? But that is where the similarities stop. Because in terms of character, they're completely different. I mean, look, square, round. And let's just take a moment to appreciate these brilliant shades of green. I love green cars. Please don't take anything by my choice of jacket today. It's not favouritism. I had no idea that I was going to be matching the Insta because I didn't know what colour it was going to be until it turned up. Nice though, isn't it? The Renault 5 just screams fun, doesn't it? It's the kind of car that just makes people smile. I heard a small child shout, "Daddy, I want that car," about it when I was waiting at the traffic lights last week, which was so sweet and made me smile. See what I mean? It's a smiley car. Now, personalisation is a strong part of the R5's appeal, as are the colours. Our car has got the optional £400 red roofline and highlights, or you can go for as much as £1,250 if you go for the yellow pop with, say, a black roof and a red roofline. And then you can add on a choice of decals for the roof and the front door. When it comes to style, it's got to be said, Renault has really pulled it out the bag with the 5. So what are my best bits about the Renault 5? Well, I think the lighting design is absolutely brilliant, both here at the front, but also at the back. Bravo to whoever did that in Renault. I also like all the little Easter eggs that you get, just little touches like here, dotted around the car, and of course that brilliant illuminated charging indicator. I think the proportions of this car are fantastic. I love the way the wheels are pushed right out to the corners, minimal overhangs. It just looks great on the road. But the thing I love most about it is how fun it is. It is a joyful, joyful little thing. If retro modern isn't so much your thing, then maybe the Insta's more futuristic but still friendly take is more to your taste. Once again, I love it for very different reasons. I love the K-car vibes you get from the narrow, tall stance, the cute yet tough blockiness that it's got. Now, whilst both of these cars are compact and electric, the Inster has a taller SUV-like presence with a longer wheelbase, whilst the Renault 5, well, that just gives classic hatchback vibes. I really love the friendly face of the Inster. It's got those lovely round eye-like lights, and they're also replicated at the back. And of course, I love the pixels here and at the back. It's got a kind of futuristic video game vibe about it, I think. I also really like how narrow it is. It does feel really compact on the road. It's great for driving around tight city streets. And then you've got all that versatility inside. I remember when I first saw it in studio, they had a surfboard inside it. Really annoyingly, my surfboard's been being waxed at the moment. So there you go. Yeah, see if it fits. Go. Oh, easy does it. Well, it's quite short. Obviously, my surfboard's a lot longer than that. Look, seats down, perfect. Good to know. Surfboard's going to fit in there when I get it back. It's a nice place to be in here, and it's got that sense of fun and quirkiness that you see on the outside. Lots of throwbacks to old Renault 5s as well, like this two-layered dashboard with the vertical stitching and the stitching here on the seats, and also just the squares on the roof liner. But it's all done without feeling too retro. It's got a really nice infotainment system, 2 screens, one in front of the driver, a second one here. And there's a bit of colour, which I like. You've got really nice vibrant colours on the screens. It just livens the whole thing up because there is quite a lot of black in here. One of the things I can't show you in this car, but you'll be able to see if you look at my first look video when we shot this car in studio, is the fact that there are loads of 3D printed accessories to go with the car, not least of which is an incredible baguette holder that can just clip on there. And just kind of really nice quirky covers for some of the storage. Really nice touches. Yes, you're going to pay extra for them, but I mean, who doesn't want a baguette holder in their car? You can't buy baguettes every day. It's good to have it there, isn't it? It's a nice thing to have. So this system runs on a Google-based operating system, and it has an assistant called Renault. And Renault will do loads of things like automatically close the windows if it senses that you're coming into a city area where the pollution and the air quality might not be good. It's got some really smart functions. One thing I don't like the fact that you have to go for the very top of the range model to get the heated seats. You can't get them in this. The mid-range £27,000 car. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a miss from Renault personally. I'm not being precious about heated seats. It's just that we spend so long saying to people, in winter, if you're in the car on your own or it's just you and your passenger, heat your seats, not the whole interior, much more fuel efficient, and it is. So I strongly suspect that will be rectified down the line and that there will be an option available on other trim levels, but don't hold me to that. I just strongly suspect. What else to tell you? Oh, the stalks. This is my other bugbear. Look, there's a lot of stalks around the steering wheel. It's great. You've got physical buttons as well as the touch screen, but the stalks are just a little bit awkward. There's quite a lot of them. And I talked about this a lot on Renaults. The gear selector, you need to give it a really firm push to get it into gear. There's quite a number of times where I've just not been, firm enough, and I end up going in, reverse when I wanted to go forwards. It does bug me a little bit, but I've spoken to lots of owners of Renaults who say you do get used to it. But yeah, that's about the only gripes I've got in here, because it is a really nice place to be. Because of the way the wheels are pushed right out to the corners of the car, you have a lot more space in the wheelbase, which gives you more room in here. And there's actually quite a lot of space for a car that is, just under 4 metres long. The seat in front is set for somebody who's 6 foot, and as you can see, I'm 5'4". It's perfectly fine for me. I suspect, though, taller adults will feel a bit claustrophobic in here, particularly because of that, the lower roof. The roof on the Inster is higher, and it's going to feel a bit airier in there, I suspect. Quality is nice, though. I like the detailing on the seats. My only other gripe, though, is here. The doors don't open that wide. And I suspect that getting kids in and out of car seats in the back may be a little bit awkward. This video is brought to you with Andersen EV, the UK's most awarded home charge point brand of 2024, offering over 200 colour and finish options, a market-leading 7-year warranty and a unique hidden tethered cable. It's got a different vibe in here to the Renault 5, hasn't it? It's less quirky, less colourful, but it is really well equipped. That's the thing that really impressed me about this when I first drove it in Korea last year. You basically get all the safety assistance programs, the steering wheel, all the tech that you get in Hyundai's bigger electric cars in the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. And I think that makes it really appealing in here. It also just feels well built, nice and solid and well put together. So there's a choice of 2 trims. You've got this one, and then you've got a really nice houndstooth, sort of black and white one. Do check out my video of my first drive if you want a real deep dive into the interior. I love this sort of bench seat effect. It's really simple, but really clever. There's loads of storage in here. The screens, but you've got 2 of them. I like the way the little round dials mirror the lights at the front. And, they're not quite as colourful as those in the Renault 5. They've not got the Google operating system, but they actually work really well and they're incredibly intuitive. It feels a little bit more airy in here because it's got that slightly higher height, loads of headroom in here. And I like the little pixel details on the seat. Space is really good back here. Headroom is great. And because this is the highest spec version, you get all that versatility in the seat. So as I showed you, that seat will fold down. These middle seats, they go backwards, they go forwards. So you've got versatility with how much room you need in the boot. Look, the downside is definitely that it's only a true four-seater, but goodness me, it's a really good sized four-seater for a small car. You'll get 4 adults in here, no problems at all. You know, there's no frills back here, there's no extras, but it does the job really, really well. And just like the front, everything feels really solid and well put together. And just like the Renault 5, the Inster also has a nice little range of accessories. I love all the little accessories you can get for the Inster, the umbrella holder in the back, the table, the portable musical instrument. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Maybe I need a few lessons. So the R5 E-Tech comes in 2 main spec levels with different battery sizes and outputs from the motor. You get Evolution, Techno and Iconic 5. Now the Evolution has a 40 kilowatt hour battery, whilst the Techno and the Iconic a 52 kilowatt hour battery. You get between 193 and 253 miles depending which you go for. This R5 Techno Comfort has the 52 kilowatt hour battery with that official range of 253 miles. You get 3 options with the Inster, the O2 and the O1 with a chunkier Inster Cross which is arriving a little later. The entry-level 42 kilowatt-hour Inster O1 manages an official range of just over 200 miles, whilst this 49 kilowatt-hour O2 gets 229 miles, a bit less than the 250 miles the big battery variants of rivals including the Renault offer. So it is very nice to be reacquainted with the Inster on a beautiful country road in the UK in spring with bluebells around the place. So this is a car that really charmed me when I drove it for the first time in Seoul, and I'm finding it equally as charming today. So I've driven it so far on motorway, dual carriageway around town and on these beautiful country roads, and it actually works really well on all of those different road conditions. So at speed on the motorway, it's got enough punch and enough pickup, wasn't bothered by wind noise, despite the fact that it's, you know, pretty tall. It's like a mini SUV really, isn't it, rather than a hatchback. Around town, the fact that whilst it has the longer wheelbase, which gives you loads of space in here, it's actually really narrow. It's actually more narrow than a Dacia Spring, for example. And that, together with the nice tight turning circle, means that it's really easy to manoeuvre around town, so it's a big tick for that. And okay, it's not a load of fun on country roads, and you do get a hint of body roll if you're pushing it into corners, which is to be expected really, given that extra height. But it's still, you know, a nice car to drive. One thing that I'm enjoying more than I did in Seoul was the suspension. So there's been some subtle changes to the suspension setup for European cars. It's got some different dampers on, for example, and you do really feel that. I thought it was a bit crashy over speed bumps and potholes when I drove it in Seoul, and the roads there are really bad. They're as bad as the roads we get here in the UK. And actually, this is really comfy and relaxing to drive, and I've got a bit of a bad back at the minute, and I actually feel comfortable in this, and several cars that I've driven recently haven't, you know, given me that feeling of being relaxed. So yeah, I really like it. It's a really charming little thing, and it does the job that it needs to do really well. So the steering, nice and light around town, it tightens up at speed. Personally, I prefer the steering in sport mode. You've got several different modes, and you can definitely feel the different characteristics as you work your way through them. Eco mode deadens the throttle response, for example. If I have a gripe, I would like to be able to set it up to suit me personally. So if I could have the slightly heavier steering that you get in sport mode with that nice, relaxed, comfortable suspension you get in the standard mode, that would be ideal. And you don't have the option to do that the way you do in the Renault 5, so that's something I do prefer about the Renault. But I think other than, you know, that little bit of body roll going into a sharp corner, I really can't fault this to drive. Let me give a shout out to the brake regeneration. So you've got all the different levels that you can set using the paddles here on the steering wheel. You can take them up, you can take them down, and if you take it up, you go into what Hyundai refers to as iPedal, which is its one pedal driving mode, which is absolutely brilliant because you can bring it to a complete stop using regenerative braking. So this is definitely something that it's got going on which is better than you'll find in the Renault 5. Regen is a bit meh in the 5, to be honest. You basically don't have all the options. You don't have the paddles and the different levels that you can set. So yeah, I think the Insta scores really highly on that for me. The other thing that's interesting is this is a small car, but because there's so much space inside and because it's so light and bright and airy, you actually don't feel like you're in a small car when you're driving it. So I think sometimes it can be quite intimidating when you've got larger SUVs and larger vehicles moving around you on busy roads. And I don't know, maybe because of all the different safety equipment that you've got in here as well, which is of course all the kit that you find in actually the larger Hyundai electric cars. It does give you a sense of security on the road, which I like. I also think it's got that slightly raised up driving position. Makes getting in and out of it really nice and easy as well. It's giving me Honda Jazz vibes, if any of you remember the Honda Jazz. I was chatting to Tom, Electrifying Tom, about that earlier, and I think that this is going to be one of those cars that's going to become a really quiet hit amongst a certain group of people who just want a really great all-rounder with loads of space that's comfy, because it ticks all those boxes. Yeah, I've got no complaints. I think this does exactly what it needs to do, and it does it very well. So the Renault 5, another car that I find utterly and completely charming, although it charms me for different reasons than the Insta. It's a really different vibe in here. It's much more small, engaging, hot hatch. You feel more connected with the car. It's not got that sort of airiness that you get with the taller Insta. So yeah, the vibe is really different. You've got the different driving modes in the Renault 5, just as you have with the Insta. And again, just like the Insta, they each have a very different feel. So comfort mode does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a really nice mid-range. Sport mode. Oh my goodness, I do like sport mode. The range doesn't love it quite as much as me, but I do love it. You get great feedback from the steering. It just tightens everything up. The throttle response is a little bit more urgent. It makes it a really fun, nippy little thing to drive. And then, goodness me, there's the contrast eco mode. Yeah, that really does, wipe the smile off your face. It does deaden up the throttle response quite a lot, actually, and I'm a bit more aware of it than I was in the Insta. But, I know the reasons it's doing it for, so I will forgive it that. The one thing I like about the setup on the R5 is the fact that it's got perso mode, so you can adapt it, to suit you. So you can have that, slightly softer, comfier ride, but you can have a firmer feel to the steering. And I do wish that the Insta had that. I think steering generally is nice and direct, no issues with it at all. And again, it suits a lot of different road conditions. I've done some quite long motorway drives in this, and certainly in terms of throttle response and nippiness, you really do feel at home in the motorway in it, considering that it is quite a small car. The gripe that I have, though, about it at speed is that you get a fair bit of wind noise creeping in on the motorway on dual carriageways once you get it sort of above 50. I was more conscious of that than I have been when I've driven the Insta, for example. In terms of brake gen, well, you've basically just got a B mode, so you haven't got all that adaptability that you've got in the Insta, and I do wish Renault had made a little bit more of that. B mode is fine. Stick it into B mode. There we go. And it will bring it to a stop eventually. Yes, it will, yes, it will, yes, it will. But I love that adaptability that you get in the Insta. It's fine though, it's all right. The ride isn't quite as comfy as the ride on the Insta. You're a little bit more conscious of bumps and lumps. It's a little bit firmer. I mean, that doesn't really bother me. But if you're looking for a really just comfy car, then the Insta is probably the one to go for out of these two. Now, here's a fun fact for you. The turning circle is just 10.3 metres.
smaller than the Jeep Avenger, the Mini Electric, the Peugeot E208, and that makes it a really, really nice car for driving around town. I've absolutely loved, you know, just driving around tight city streets in this. It's really nice and easy to park. I think all in all, the Renault is a really fun car to drive. It just feels nice and sporty. Look, it's not got the kind of hot hatch feel that you get with the Mini Electric, but for me, it feels just the way I want a modern day Renault 5 to feel. And it puts a smile on my face. The original boot on the Renault 5 was designed to carry a supermarket shop, and yes, you'll be able to squeeze one into this new version. Boot space is actually pretty good for a smaller car. You get 326 litres with the seats up. That increases to 1,106 litres with the space down. It does make it one of the best in its class. When it comes to the Inster, it's a more modest 238 litres. However, those 50-50 split rear seats increase boot space up to 351 litres when you slide them forwards. And you also have all that incredible adaptability that it offers. It even fitted my surfboard in, didn't it? What? I do have a surfboard. Honest.
So the Inster gets a heat pump on every model, so it's a bit debatable how much a heat pump really is, but it can be handy on colder winter days in the UK and in very cold countries. You also get vehicle to load charging, although it is optional, only available on the top spec version, and it's going to set you back an extra £500. So you really need to be able to want to use your coffee maker on the go to add it to the options list. Peak rapid charging is 73 kilowatts for the standard range battery, 85 for this long range battery. It's not the fastest, but it does mean a half hour 10 to 80% charge time. One thing that slightly bugs me though is the position of the charging port here on the front. I like to reverse into everything, and the number of times that I've had to readjust the car because the cable won't quite reach round to the front. The R5 comes with rapid charging of up to 100 kilowatts. That drops to 80 on the smaller battery car. So you'll get a 10 to 80% charge in around 35 minutes. And you can charge at up to 11 kilowatts from an AC charger. Now, it also gets a heat pump as standard. As I said, it should help with winter efficiency. Although in the real world, we have noticed that cold weather does hit the R5 hard. It fares far better in milder climates. It's currently returning around 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour on mixed roads, some fast, some slower, which equates to not far off the claimed range. Vehicle to load, you get that as standard. You'll have to pay for an adapter though, and that's £100 if you go for the official Renault one. And as of later in 2025, you'll also be able to make use of vehicle to grid charging, which means you can actually power your house from the car's battery, provided you have a home charger capable of bidirectional charging. Something that's worth investigating, and you can find guides and explainers to that over at electrifying.com.
When it comes to warranties, the Inster gets 5 years, unlimited mileage for the first 24 months, then up to 60,000 miles or 3 years in total after that. Renault used to give 5 years, but it stopped that in 2023, so it's now 3 years on the Renault 5. Battery warranty on both is 8 years or 100,000 miles. Renault includes roadside assistance for 5 years, Hyundai includes it for 3. Now, unlike the Inster, the Renault 5 E-Tech is also rated to tow up to 500 kilograms, both braked and unbraked, so that makes it suitable for lighter towing tasks like a small trailer or bike carriers.
So let's talk about the money now, and basically ignore the list prices because that's not how the majority of us buy new cars anymore. So we've run the numbers on leasing, for example, and we always do the same terms. We do 6 months down payment, it's over 36 months, and a limit of 8,000 miles a year. And the Renault 5 comes out at £344. The Inster is slightly more, £376. And that's because the people that set the future values of these cars, which is what those numbers are based on, reckon that the Renault 5 is going to be worth slightly more in 3 years than the Inster will be. If we switch that to a PCP, then the numbers switch. So the Renault is actually more expensive. That's coming in at the moment at £359. and the Inster is coming in at 311, and that's on the same terms again. That's because there are some really good deals on finance with good down payments available on the Inster. So if you are in the market for one of these, there are some pretty good options available right now. So putting the numbers aside, which one of these two would I go for? And it is really hard to make that decision. So the Inster is without a doubt more practical, more spacious, but the Renault 5 is just more fun to drive. However, the Inster also has really good levels of equipment. I think this decision of Renault to not put heated seats in anything other than the top spec is a bit of a fail on their part, if I'm honest. But I still can't choose between them. It's like choosing between my two favourite children, even though I've only got one. So I would say that I'll have both. If it's me going for a drive on my own on a sunny day or whizzing around town, Renault 5 every day. If you have more people to carry, particularly in the back, more stuff to fit in your car, then the Inster will be the one to go for. So I guess what I mean by that is it really depends on what your priorities are. But for today, I'm being greedy. Both, please.